Hello, this is Pixie doing another video. How are you? Hopefully you're doing alright, you're doing okay. Focusing on whatever's important in your life. And you're setting little goals and you're getting there. Or if you're not getting there, then you're just reevaluating it. So, what's going on? Bit of MGTOW. I think a lot of dating sites are just, well, they're just an industry. And a lot of women are also caught this industry, you know, looking good, having certain types of nails and stuff. And I've been watching a lot of these shows, Kevin Samuel, you know, stuff. He's sort of saying that women are doing things that don't necessarily pick up to guys, it's just in competition with other women, or they're making statements, and you know, like, I don't know, they're sort of dressed so impractical that they're like, I don't want to work. They're giving out these messages maybe they're not aware of. You know, if you've got really long nails and high heels and stuff, how practical is that? It's nice to dress up, you know, if you're trying to impress somebody and there's an occasion, basically. There's times to dress up and down. I never really understood why women wearing pajamas and stuff out in the street. It's not, I mean, I don't like it. I know people talk the onesies because they look trendy and walk around with them, but it kind of makes them look like they don't care, or they're just like slightly immature, and you know, kind of in this, for survival, they're sort of vulnerable. You don't walk around in your pajamas. But equally, I don't like necessarily blokes if they're out jogging with their top off, running around like in the road and all sorts of stuff. I'm thinking, what on earth's all that about? You know, it's just, I don't know. But then there's also this sort of over-inflated self-image stuff, and it sort of addresses some of that in Kevin's show, and how maybe women see themselves as 8 and 10s in sort of ranking, and sort of, you know, as a kind of a sexual marketplace. The issue with that is that they're pop stars around like 8 and 10, and they're sort of, you know, these models and stuff. They think, yeah, I'm like that, and that probably explains why it's not fat shaming, but you tend to want to show the best parts of your body off. And there's been some people walking around with like belly tops and stuff, and I'm thinking, why? it's not the most attractive feature in their body, but they're just showing these bits off, you know. You know, if blokes started walking around with belly tops and showing off beer guts and stuff, it's not really going to work for them. You know, if that's the kind of selling point, and maybe amongst other blokes, in the sense that I don't care, and you know, I'm just happy with myself. That kind of thing, it's fine, but it's not really like, hey, do you want to join my club? It's not. It doesn't work as an invite, or look at my lovely stomach, or whatever. You know, it's kind of like, this is what you're going to get. This is what you're going to get if you get too close to me. So I don't know, but you know, it's just everyone's taste, really. But it's not. It doesn't necessarily attractive to all men. If I just sort of looking at a belly, and it looks like somebody's got a few extra pounds, and it's not really going to be drawing them in, not unless they're into bellies, I don't know, but it's more likely either sort of the curvature of the body that would be of an interest, like necklines and things like that. Hair, maybe some natural nails, but not excessive. Yeah, things that say you're fertile and you're healthy, things that say that you look after yourself. And stuff like that, really. I don't know, it's got to be what the selling points. Just sort of looking at it and thinking, yeah, it looks good. Yeah, I thought about their image. They look quite, you know, like boots. You know, I quite like boots, but it's more practical than some things. Like, you know, if they cause your feet harm, it's like, well, I prefer you don't sort of like hobble around in front of me suffering, because that's not really so attractive. But anyway, so these shows look at these kind of things, and they're quite good analysis. And also toxic language, like, oh, it's just these men, and then there's kind of it's thrown out to sort of cover every man, and to punish every other bloke, but apart from the bloke they're actually interested in, and there's no accountability for making poor choices. Like, well, you did sort of pursue this person, knowing they had a bad background, and I often see it as well. It's kind of like, well, you thought he was the catch for some reason, and I realise that for some females they're attracted to chaos. Maybe they've got their own internal chaos, and seeing it in somebody else makes sort of stabilises, they think might stabilise what's going on with them, normalise emotional swings. Because there was something about intellect, and they said that women's intellect is more averaged, but with men it's more on the extreme spectrum. So a man might be either smart or not very smart. That's what they're kind of suggesting, but I don't know where they get this data from. But if that's true, maybe the emotional spectrum is that men are more neutral, because men would be dangerous if they lose their tempers and they're volatile. But it doesn't apply to all men, obviously. But they're the ones that are more volatile, where they're probably more likely to have brushes with the law and stuff. But on average, they would possibly be more neutral. That's why they sort of favour the logic and keeping their emotions wrapped up. I mean, they're allowed to let go of it a bit, but it's not, because it can have it can swing their opinions, and maybe gives them a different outlook as well, different thinking process. So I mean, something could be developed in people's brains. Usually, some people that are more, you can't get around it. Some people that have quite a high considered IQ or intelligence may also be highly sensitive, and it may also impact them by generating conflicts between intellect and emotional sensitivity, and so their experiences are like traumas, and so they want to avoid them. So there's a bit of a spectrum of intelligence and where it fits in, and coping strategies, social intelligence, communication skills, and strengths and weaknesses. Because I don't want to bash any particular sort of gender or anything like that. That's fine. And then I was also doing some deep thoughts about, so I was, like I say, mentioned about chaos, and also maybe the attractive features or the biological markers, I guess, or templates in women is that a natural desire to nurture, and would be maybe possibly encouragement. They motivate, so men become more motivated by women, and they're more social skills. They're very valuable. I'm not saying they're not valuable in society, but there's certain skill sets that are quite proficient. But what we've got is an environment that encourage women to be more like men to be more like women, and basically the ones that are in these bubbles, success rates are quite low. I mean, they might work, like say feminine ideology, behaviour in fashion. There might be certain industries that actually thrive. Me in care work, so I've got a lot of empathy, and I do a lot of work, social health and care work. I need patience, kindness. I need to have a certain awareness of mindset of the client. I've got to be able to mirror things, so a lot of it's like empathy and understanding that sort of structure. And then I've got to have some other knowledge in lots of other areas, like cooking and medications and physically moving people and all sorts of stuff, and mental health, and also ailments, conditions, end of life, personal care, using equipment, lifting equipment, all these sorts of things. So there's a bit of a mixture in there, health and safety, but they're kind of life skills, and they're also adapted and sharpened by experience, because like things do work because you hide better, or for your client's shape and body type and stuff like that, and you become a bit more wised up to it, basically. But the emotional connection and the personality type assist with that. So and it's a fairly social job, and I can be my own boss. So it's like being self-employed, and just get on with it. So yeah, I was quite happy today, because for some reason I don't normally get it, but they paid any leftover holiday, I think, from last year. So they paid me like about 450 quid extra or something in the pay packet. Ooh. That's nice. Nice if they've remembered that, because sometimes I just work. I'm quite into the job really, so it's kind of skill sets. I mean, with men, I need to be industrious, I need the ability to construct, create, support, build foundations, support structures, maintain order at some degree. Because sometimes it's, if you're taking a lot of emotions, like your children and yourself, and there's a lot going on in your life, you might want someone to say, look, I just deal with that, okay? Obviously that's stressing you out, let me deal with that, and then you do this. Other interesting things it talked about was, in the MGTOW was also talked about how some daughters are kind of like married to their mothers, but the mothers are groomed them into that role. As a result, you can't really develop that fulfillment of husband and wife, because there's always a third wheel. There's always friction, basically, and toxicity of certain levels and stuff like that. So it's always a bit dodgy, but hey ho, it's just the way it is sometimes. So that's of interest. Other MGTOW stuff, yeah, so I chatted to someone, but it seems like it's a load of rubbish, so I'm not going to worry about it. I think the best thing move forward would be go to a different country, speed dating, meet a lot of women, get a flavour of what's going on, go on a dates there, these kind of things set up. They might be pricey, but I don't know, just go with it, I guess. We can go to a different country and people leap on you, but because they leap on all foreigners, they're like, all these foreign men, they're looking for, temporary girlfriends, like go to Thailand or something, They'd like to play the tour guide or something. And to be honest, it'd be so cheap, it's not really a big issue. As long as you're not getting ripped off, that's the main thing. Crypto stuff. So, I'm up to 8,500. I made a 6.5 from an investment. I might add a little bit more money. It's gonna pop off tomorrow. It's a level of uncertainty because how it's doing is like a buyback and burn mechanism and other things. But it could be a rug pull. I don't think it will be, or it might not work so successful. There's like 20,000 NFTs, and they're selling at £100 a piece, and then £50 of it reduces the supply of the coin, and that increases the price because it increases the scarcity. I mean, I don't know if anything else would be allocated to people, but some of the development team get about 10% of the money coming in, which is fair enough. And it puts it on the map, and people will buy the coin, or people get excited, like, oh, the price is going up, and then they buy in and buy out. And because I'm quite already invested, all I've got to go up is really buy either 10 or 100 times. If he does that, I'm laughing. 100 times I'm laughing, like, yes. And then I've got the other plan set up, which is Comb Finance, just create something called ZCoin. I need to look at all the details, but lock it up for 2 years. You get rewarded daily percentage. I think it's like 1% a day, I don't know, something like that. And then with the ZCoin, after 2 years, I think you keep the ZCoin, and with your own investment, you can basically get your money out that you originally put in there, so you lose nothing. Big fan. There we go. Learning disabilities. Okay, cool. Yeah, so get all your money back out. The coins could deappreciate in some way. They could lose in value, so you could be getting paid out. However, if it's 200% something interest, you locked it in for 2 years. As long as you get more than you put in, that's fine. And if it's a crazy amount in there, you know, I was doing some maths. I think I had something like in my head that if it was, I think for 100,000, however interest, it was like 500 a day or something. You know, so if it did shoot up, boom. If it did put over, and I think I had it in 10,000, it was something like 50 quid a day or something, which is probably about right. I'm thinking if you think about work and how much you must earn in a week and stuff, that most people probably, I don't know, lower end is probably, well, it's probably between 80 and 100 quid, depending on what they're doing. I mean, I don't think it's quite that for me, but after tax as well, I do 2 jobs and so on, but yeah, you kind of get an average of it. But even so, I mean, it's £50 worth a day, and then just, you know, put it into something else, put it into other projects, just pump it across, or there's other staking in other places, because, you know, basically as you get the return on it, you just take that money out, and then you can reinvest it back into the project, which you can compound it. So, you know, you could set up a sort of few tiers. So if you locked it in for 2 years, you could lock in the new amount, you put it in for 6 months, a year. But basically the aim would be that you'll get paid out the money at a certain time, depending on what your plan is. You can just put it all out. But the tokens come out also in different chains, so different exchanges. There was stuff about validators, locking up money to validators. That was something new. I'm not too sure how that exactly works. He said about 15% from your transactions, and then, okay, let him go. There we go. Otherwise you can get a situation where both people turn up at the road at the same time and they both want to turn. And naturally he should let me go because I'm closer. It's on my side, but it's a bit of one of these grey areas, like when you come to a roundabout and everyone wants to turn, or well, a T-junction, and everyone wants to turn at the same time, and you're like, well, I can't go because you need to go, and that, you know, who was here first, or who's moving, and, you know, so you flash your lights and stuff. So yeah, so basically there's a roadmap, there's that, or there's also Pandagale. So I could take your profit. So tomorrow there's a minting process for Pandagale, that shoots up. Looking at a point where you want to take my profits out or carry on, depends what information comes out. It might be a quick pump and dump, it might not. I think keeping it locked in for too long is probably pointless. But at least financially I'm back where I was before I got ripped off by the Ring debacle. And I could switch it over to Catgale coin because they've got their next season to be out at some point. It might mean sitting around for a couple of months, and then that rolls out, and then you take profits from that, and then you whip it into the next one because the other ones have got merchandise coming out in August, and that pumps that price up, and then people are buying it in, I don't know, for what they get in Pandagale, and then probably the Catgale brings out something else. So you can switch between the two projects, but you have to be clever because there's taxation involved. So 15% sell tax, and which means you want to make sure that you're well over that interest-wise when it pumps. Otherwise you'll start losing money rather than gaining money. You'll think, oh, where's that money gone? You know, because it's sort of take out quite a big chunk. And with the Catgale, they have a reflection token, so they do pay you back. The other one has a burn quality to it, so it reduces the supply, increasing the value of your coin. The other one will increase your coins to your wallet. Why burn them as well? But yeah, I mean, it all depends what happens. Let's see. Make sure that I don't play in the door. There we go. Right, it's big sun off. And have a good one.